Hi, I'm Rhiannon Faith, and I'm here to tell you a story. So, with it being the end of the school year, I've been feeling a little bit nostalgic about all the things that came with my end of years, high school edition in particular, and enjoying the experience with my son who's finishing up his freshman year and him getting his first high school yearbook, which is, massive. He goes to a relatively well, it's not as big as a lot of the schools around here, but it's still a decently sized school, about 2,900 kids or so. And, he's bemoaning having to carry it in his backpack after he got it. But of course, you can tell he's excited to have it. So I was challenging him the first day he brought it home. I said, let me see it. We're looking through to find the pictures that he's in and joking about how he's going to have a glow up for his freshman picture, which was not an idyllic representation of what he looks like. He's been in a hat phase for a number of years, and I know we won't be too mad, but he's been in a hat phase for a number of years, and he was insistent on getting a particular haircut that would allow him to wear his hair down. I was like, that's great, but he still wasn't leaving the hats behind. So picture day comes, and I'm reminding him, hey, don't wear your hat, because he put product in his hair to kind of make it look as it should based on the haircut. He went ahead and put stuff in his hair and then puts his hat on. And I was like, what was the point of that? And also, now that you have the product in your hair, it's going to kind of weirdly mold to your hat. Did you bring a comb, so you can fix this when it gets to the point where you would have your pictures? Because he wasn't going to have pictures until much later in the day. But, why would we listen to our mother? We're obviously without knowledge. Duh. So this guy, he puts the hat on, does not bring a comb, because again, what do I know? Picture comes through and I am just cracking up. Again, it is just not a good representation of him as a kid. It just doesn't barely look like him. And so I'm telling him, you have got to go to makeup day, because yikes. Okay, I already bought the pictures. I need you to do makeup day. Please go to makeup day. So he goes to makeup day. I'm sure it's not only my son, but as I looked at the picture, I thought, are you for real? This is literally only my kid. He is wearing the exact same shirt, and he does the same thing with his hair, where he does his hair, puts on his hat, doesn't bring a comb. So it's really hard to distinguish between the two photos, which is the retake and which is the original, because they are alarmingly similar. So as he gets his yearbook and we're looking through and, his picture, it'll be my glow up photo. I'll have everything after this, Mom. It'll be a glow up. And so I was chuckling. I said, well, you have to see my freshman photo, because similarly, it was not a good representation. It's kind of like the kindergarten photo where, all the kids are deer in the headlights, or the over smile because they don't know how to smile on cue. So the super teeth and eyebrows and everything is involved in the smile photo. And as much as those photos are awkward, I do think they capture a certain essence of that place and time in their history. And so, looking back on my freshman photo now, it's okay, well, it did kind of represent the untetheredness of being in high school and having just moved back to San Diego at the time, and all of the different elements that came with that. My formerly permed hair growing out. It was a lot. It was just, honestly, it was not a great look. But like I said, it got me a bit nostalgic for all things yearbook. So I challenged him when he brings home the yearbook and there is not a single bit of ink anywhere in it. I said, okay, look, your assignment tomorrow is to come home with at least 15 signatures. Find friends or whatever and get them to sign your yearbook. And he's like, okay. And I was encouraging him, and also the teachers that you liked and stuff, this is a really important part, get the signatures. He's like, okay, Mom. So he goes and then comes back and he's got signatures. And so I was pulling out my yearbooks to kind of show him, this is the fun stuff. Those are the moments and the memories and things you'll look back on years later and go, oh my gosh, that guy was ridiculous. That was so funny. Or, a friend mentions a moment or a memory that brings you right back like a time machine into that place where you were when that happened. And so I had similarly, on the same vein, seen this meme recently. It was written by Viridian Masquerade, and it said, "I make my ramen the way a friend taught me in 11th grade. Every fall, I listen to a playlist made for me by a boy I drove across the border to hook up with. I eat sushi because a girl who won't talk to me anymore made me try it, and Indian food because my best friend's parents ordered for me before I knew what I liked. There are movies I love because someone I loved them first. I'm a mosaic of everyone I ever loved, even for a heartbeat." And that was kind of the cool thing. I definitely think similarly that, in every interaction that you have with someone, you kind of take a little piece. There's an exchange. You take a little piece of them if you're willing. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And then you give a little piece of yourself. And similarly, it could be good or it could be bad. And so our lives are like this beautiful collection of all these little moments of overlap with other people. And going through my yearbook and reading some of the things that were written, it was a fun run down memory lane of these moments like, well, this thing that happened, or it was really fun when we were at this together, or you remember in so-and-so's class. And the best part, and I don't know, I guess best as in startling reality, is looking at moments that you have no intellectual retention on. So I don't remember. There are different places where someone wrote something and I have no recollection in any capacity, and I'm trying to remember about that moment. But it was a moment enough for them to mention it. And I think about that in my own life. How many moments do I recall with fondness or specificity that someone else, it was just a moment, in a blip on the radar. And there had been, again, this sort of like theme in posts of late that I've seen where people are talking on this, because I think at the end of the school year is always a time of reflection, whether you're graduating or just setting a season, or even if you're not in school anymore. There's just something about that upcoming of summer and that end of that school year that we all sort of program back to and recall. And so there's this period of reflection and thinking back and remembering. And another handful of posts that I've seen have been on that same like thread of thought, where the person is saying, your insignificant moment may be someone else's game changer. You never know what impact you're having on those around you. And so I've said it before, and it's really truly an integral element of who I am, is to try and leave people better than I found them. And again, not by any scope of the imagination am I like batting 1,000 on that, but that is the goal. And there's some intentionality behind it, wanting and desiring to leave people better than I found them, and to tread cautiously with others. You just never know what state of mind they might be in. And so I do this in all sorts of different areas, like the unexpected things where you jump out and you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, or extend yourself in a way that wasn't necessary because you think that it might make someone's life better. So like when I go out to eat, I always tip, but if someone is rude or seemingly impatient, and I get the vibe that it's because they're overwhelmed or they're having a bad day, something on that vein. If someone was like intentionally cruel, I don't know that I would do this, but I haven't been in that spot. But I will tip extra generously. And it's not to like heap on chaos for them, like, oh, you thought you were going to be mean, well, look at me, I'm going to be nice. It's because I genuinely feel like maybe they just needed assurance that they're doing a good job, even if they hadn't, and given grace in a moment, like maybe that will be transformative for them. And so I do that on a pretty regular basis. There are other times where you can see like someone is just dialing it in big time, and there's no amount of turnaround that's going to change that. And so I've just tipped my normal like 20%. I do think, as an aside, tipping culture has gotten massively out of control when you're on a no interaction kiosk, and it asks you for a tip. And you think to yourself, well, this is a conundrum. If I don't tip, I'm gonna like spit in my food, because we've had no other interaction for you to know that I'm not trying to be offensive, but literally, what have you done to earn, deserve, contribute towards a tip? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But that's all sort of irrelevant. But looking through my yearbook, back to the yearbook, stream of consciousness, gets away from me. But getting back to the yearbook, like reading through those moments and thinking about those different times and fun little pieces that I collected of all of the friends that I've had over the years. And most of those people are not in my life anymore. But some of them were like so important in that time and season. I think that's why I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the fact that we moved around a ton when I was a kid. I mean, so much. We moved so much, for another video. But because we moved so much, I held really lightly to people because they were going to be gone. I also held really lightly to stuff. I mean, but when I was there with them, I was there with them. I mean, so deep immersed in my friendships, my relationships. I was just like head first all the time. There was no toe in the water, check the temp, wade back, let's try again. It was just all in, all the way. And I guess I'm kind of that way in most things. I'm way more a get after it, get it done. Like going to the gym, I really have a problem. So I will not go to the gym for some period of time. And then when I do go to the gym, I go as though I've been working out 5 days a week, 2 hours a day. In most cases, like that is my tendency. Now, recently, after recovering from the surgery and all of that, I went to the gym like a week ago, and I have not been able to go back because I was gentle with myself. I was very uncharacteristically aware of my limitations, having not been able to work out for a period. And all I did was an upper body workout after some cardio. Okay, so like nothing about that honestly should have been as punishing as it was post workout. The next 3 days, like by day 3, I could barely move my arms. I was like nauseated from the pain and discomfort from like the muscle fatigue. That was embarrassing. But normally my very go-to is like, oh, you haven't done anything for a while? Let's go on a 2-hour hike. Like that seems reasonable. Those days I'm very much coming to terms with the fact that those days are behind me, where I can do that without significant consequences. I think I'm learning those lessons. Maybe. So far, again, I had a good one where I recognized my limitations, and I still got bludgeoned by the consequences. So I will have to toe back into the waters on that one and try again. Not to dissuade me from going to the gym altogether, but my body definitely needed more time to recover. In any event, when I look back on those relationships, I do so with like sincere fondness. Again, the friendships, the boyfriends, whatever, because while I was there, I was totally there and immersed in it. And then when it was gone, I mostly let it go with fondness, released it back into the world. And so one of the things that I super enjoy about social media is being able to peer through the glass. You're peeking into someone's life. I don't often interact in a meaningful way with people from prior versions of me, but I do like to see that what they're up to, how their life is going, and I'm, in my own way, in the background cheering them on and hoping that life is going well for them. It's interesting how those relationships, change and evolve and all the rest of that. And so I was encouraging my son, this is a really cool and important thing. Get the signatures, because you'll look back maybe even just your senior year and go, oh my gosh, we were so close freshman year, or we didn't even really know each other. And now look at the relationship we have. We're so close to each other. this is my good friend. And so I was kind of quizzing him on, we used to do this at the end of each year, like, what are your favorite things? What do you want to be when you grow up? Just to mark the differences and the evolution of him, like how he's grown and matured and what have you. And we didn't do so much of that this year. There were like a little bit of Q&A. He was reluctant to participate. But it's those things that I think are like really, they're cool moments. And so don't miss them. And I guess like really important takeaway is really be intentional about the little pieces you're giving to others. Like, I hope that the people that I've loved and that have loved me have little nuggets of goodness, and, you know, will remember me in a way that's fond instead of, you know, chaotic or frustrated or whatever. And I'm sure that there are people who remember me in ways that I would find less favorable, but may have been accurate to their takeaway from our relationship. And hopefully those situations have been over time restored or lessened or whatever. Or hopefully, if nothing else, they'd reach out to me and tell me like, hey, you left me in kind of a rough spot. Didn't enjoy that. So we could maybe have some at least closure, even if not reconciliation. But I think relationships are really important, again, with our friends, colleagues. I have colleagues that I worked with over 20 years ago that I still think about, like different moments and things we would do together that were special, and key areas of my life that they were a part of, and all these little stories and pieces that they knew a bit of. It's interesting to think, like, if you needed to write the story of your life, how many people would have to be involved to tell all of it? And my list is long. I've been like blessed to have tons of people in my life, and it would take an audience to get all the story together, because there's so many pieces that are out there with other people, and I kind of love that. And so I would just encourage you, like, make the memories, invest in the relationships, be wholly present, and take the time to be intentional about positively impacting those around you. Anyways, just a little bit of nostalgic run through the tulips, I guess. I hope you enjoyed. I'd love your feedback. Come back again. I'll tell you another story. Thanks.